No, never.
You're outmatched. Cut him down. Radiance away.
Let's spill some ink.
Time to strike.
Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the best build I managed to create for Sciel. It's a fully DPS focused build that can one-shot all enemies during your first turn. The build focuses on Sciel and her Hour Sacrifice skill, which is her highest damaging skill, and combines that with the Martenon weapon, which allows us to enter Twilight with 6 stacks and 24 tel on all enemies, allowing for a massive one-shot wipe of anything that stands in front of us. Given the fact that the main skill in the build is also an AoE skill, this build has no issues with one-shotting any type of encounter. For the other party members, we are using Maelle and Verso as support units that can break and debuff enemies on turn 1 and provide Sciel with various damage buffs. We are using the Auto Death plus Breaking Death plus Burning Death combo on Maelle in order to break enemies on our first turn and also burn them in order to get the damage boost from the Burn Affinity Pictos. We are using the Marking Break plus Slowing Break combo on Verso in order to break all enemies and apply Slow plus Mark on them, which will give us a huge damage increase and allow Sciel to take her turn a second time before the enemy's turn. Before we can get started, you will need a few key items to make this build work as follows. The Martenon weapon for Sciel. This weapon can be obtained from the merchant in the Flying Manor map. This weapon is crucial for this build as it allows us to enter Twilight with 6 stacks, adding up to a total of 150% damage increase. It also allows us to apply 24 tail stacks on all enemies when entering Twilight, which will significantly increase the damage of our main damaging skill, Hour Sacrifice. The Painted Power Pictos, which is crucial for any build and which is automatically obtained after defeating the Paintress. The Cheater Pictos, which is crucial for any build and which can be obtained by defeating the Sprung boss. The First Strike Pictos to ensure you always go first with your team. This can be obtained in the Stone Wave Cliff map. The Auto Death Pictos, which can be obtained from the merchant in the Yellow Harvest map. The Breaking Death Pictos, which can be obtained from the Thunder Évêque in the Continent map. The Marking Break Pictos, which can be obtained from the merchant in the Endless Night Sanctuary map. The Energizing Turn Pictos, which can be obtained by defeating the Sirene boss. The Second Chance Pictos, which you automatically get after defeating a Renoir the first time. And the Survivor Pictos, which can be obtained from the merchant in Monaco Station. Besides these key items, your damage output will depend on how many damage increase Pictos you have equipped on Sciel. You should try and obtain the following Pictos to maximize your damage. At Death's Door for 50% more damage, Burn Affinity for 25% increased damage, Confident Fighter for 30% more damage, Glass Cannon for 25% more damage, Greater Defenses for 15% more damage from the Defenseless debuff, Greater Powerful for 15% more damage from the Powerful buff, Immaculate for 30% more damage, Powered Attack for 20% more damage, Powerful Shield for 80% more damage in total, Shield Affinity for 30% more damage, Stun Boost for 30% more damage, Teamwork for 10% more damage, and Warming Up for 5% more damage after each turn, up to 25%. You don't need all of these, but the more you have, the more damage you will deal. Another key element for this build is your party order. You want to make sure that Sciel goes first, Verso goes second, and Maelle goes third. In order to control your party order, just control the speed of your characters. Make sure that all 3 characters have the First Strike Lumina active, and that Sciel has the highest speed, Verso the second highest, and Maelle the lowest. Make sure to take into account the speed increase from Rush when calculating the total speed, and to manually add your characters to the party using the party menu in the order that you want them to play in. Let's take a look at each character and see what weapon, Pictos and skill they have equipped. When it comes to Sciel, she will be the main character for this build, meaning she will be the one we are using to one-shot on turn 1. When it comes to the weapon, you must absolutely use Martenon because it gives you the highest and fastest possible damage increase in one turn. For her 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you have available just to make sure she has 100% critical rate and the highest speed in the team. When it comes to skills, there are 3 crucial skills you absolutely need. These are Fortune's Fury, Dark Cleansing and Our Sacrifice. Fortune's Fury is our main buffing skill which doubles our damage. We are using it right before we unleash our damaging skill to ensure we one-shot all enemies. Dark Cleansing is our second buffing skill which has 2 purposes. First, it costs 0 AP, so we can use it on both of our first 2 turns to generate 4 moon charges for literally no cost. Secondly, it takes all the buffs we are stacking on Verso and passing them on to the entire team. Our third and most important skill is Our Sacrifice, which deals extreme dark damage to all enemies in one hit. Additionally, this skill has a very powerful effect. It can absorb the health of all allies and all the foretell on enemies to increase its damage. This damage increase when reaching its maximum potential is pretty crazy. This skill is the main reason we are using the Martenon weapon and why we are maintaining our other party members at full health before using Our Sacrifice. For her active Lumina, you want the following: At Death's Door, Auto Death, Burn Affinity, Cheater, Confident Fighter, Energizing Turn, First Strike, Glass Cannon, Immaculate, In Medias Res, Painted Power, Powered Attack, Powerful Shield, Roulette, but only if you already have all the other Pictos, Shield Affinity, Solidifying, Stun Boost, Survivor, Teamwork, and Warming Up. That's a total of 231 Lumina points required, which is quite high, but you can reduce that cost by at least 40 if you equip the cheater Pictos instead of using its Lumina. If you have leftover Lumina points, feel free to add any other Lumina you want. When it comes to her attributes, simply max out Might, Vitality and Agility. Moving on to Verso, which acts as our key support character. For the weapon, you should use Sciel because it allows you to apply the bonus damage from your perfection rank to your allies at half value. Pairing this with the Overload skill, which puts us at rank A instantly, we can apply a good damage buff to our Sciel on our first turn. When it comes to the 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you want, just make sure to control his speed and make him go second after Sciel. When it comes to skills, there are 2 that you absolutely need for this build. These are Overload and Radiant Slash. Overload is a skill that puts us at perfection rank A instantly, which has a perfect synergy with our Sciel weapon. Unfortunately, it also sets our HP to 1, which would make us lose some damage from Sciel's Our Sacrifice skill, but we can mitigate that by using a healing tint on Verso during Maelle's turn. Radiant Slash is the skill that we will be using to break all enemies and apply stun, mark and slow. For his active Lumina, you need the following: Auto Shell, Breaking Death, Cheater, Double Mark, First Strike, Greater Powerful, Greater Rush, Greater Slow, Longer Powerful, Longer Rush, Marking Break, Painted Power, Powerful on Shell, Rush on Powerful, and Slowing Break. That's a total of 160 Lumina points required. If you have leftover Lumina points, feel free to add any damage increase Lumina you want. Moving on to Maelle, which is our second supporting character. For the weapon, there is no must-have, since almost all of her weapons are DPS focused. You can use whatever you want, but consider stuff like Batloom for gradient generation, Duenum for AP generation for the rest of the party, or Secarum for getting rid of the enemy's shield faster. When it comes to the 3 equipped Pictos, use whatever you want, just ensure she has the lowest speed in the team. When it comes to skills, there is only one that you need for this build, which is Guard Down, in order to apply defenseless to all enemies. Besides that, you can also bring Phantom Strike for tons of gradient generation. When it comes to her active Lumina, you want the following: Auto Death, Breaking Death, Burning Death, Cheater, Energizing Death, First Strike, Greater Defenseless, Painted Power, Second Chance, and Shielding Death. That's a total of 96 Lumina points. If you have leftover Lumina, feel free to add any other damage or support Pictos you want. When it comes to attributes, max out Might and then the 2 other attributes that your weapon is scaling with. Now let's get into the playstyle and skill rotation for this build. When the fight starts, a couple of things will happen. Maelle will die and resurrect, applying burn and maximum break bar to all enemies and giving 4 AP and 3 shields to all allies. Sciel will put herself at 1 HP to take advantage of the at death's door damage increase and will gain 5 additional shields, adding up to a total of 8. Verso will gain auto shell, which in turn will give him greater rush and greater powerful. Now your first turn will be with Sciel. You will start off by using dark cleansing on Verso, which will transfer his greater rush and greater powerful buffs to Sciel and give you 2 moon charges. On the next turn with Sciel, use dark cleansing again on Verso just to gain 2 more moon charges, which will maximize your twilight charges. Keep in mind that in order to enter twilight, you need at least 1 sun and 1 moon charge, and when you do enter twilight, you gain charges equal to the sum of all the sun and moon charges you had. The number of twilight charges is crucial because you get 25% damage increase per charge. Up next should be Verso. You will start off by using his overload skill to gain perfection rank A, which will apply a damage buff to your entire team. For his second turn, use the Radiant Slash skill, which will break all enemies and put them into a stunned state. When you break enemies with Verso, he will also apply Mark for 2 turns, which is a 50% damage increase, and more importantly he will apply Greater Slow, which in combination with the Greater Rush buff on Sciel, will allow her to take 2 more turns while the enemy is still stunned. This is crucial in order to get the damage increase from the stunned state and the stun boost Lumina. Now when Maelle takes her turn, you will start off by using Guard Down to apply greater defenses to all enemies. On her second turn, make sure you clear all the shields that enemies might have using your free aim shot, and then you have to use a healing tint on Verso in order to heal his HP and allow Sciel to absorb it and increase the damage of her Hour Sacrifice skill. The total HP of your allies is irrelevant, but what matters is that they have more than 1 HP, so that Sciel can absorb something from both allies. Now your Sciel should take another turn, and this is where it's time to one-shot all enemies on the screen. Start off by using your Fortune's Fury skill, which will double your damage on the next turn, and more importantly, it will give you 2 sun charges, which paired with your previous 4 moon charges will put you into Twilight state and apply 12 foretell on all enemies. Since we are in Twilight state and every foretell applied is doubled, and the limit of 10 per enemy is also increased to 20, entering Twilight state with 6 charges will apply 20 foretell to all enemies. Now for your second turn, simply use the Hour Sacrifice skill, which will absorb health from your Verso and Maelle, and absorb a total of 60 foretell from all enemies in order to deal the maximum possible damage that this skill can do, which is more than enough to one-shot everything on the screen. Normally, if you have all the items I have shown in the video, the skill will deal around 242 million damage against a neutral enemy. If you are using it against an enemy which is weak to the dark element, it will deal more than 500 million damage. That would be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and if you'd like to see builds for other characters. I have other build videos coming up for Lune and Monaco in the next few days, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.